You know, it's like Santa's list. Let's see who is naughty and who is nice. But, But I have an interesting story for you guys. I think a lot of people are going to be all up in arms about this, literally like champions, because the UFC removes cannabis from the banned substances list, you guys. That's right. The UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, has taken a significant step in sports health and safety by formally removing marijuana from its list of banned substances for athletes, setting a progressive example in the realm of professional sports. The UFC's decision to exclude cannabis from its prohibited substances is an extension of its earlier reform back in 2021, which protected fighters from being penalized for testing positive for THC. The revised anti-doping policy aims to align with the World Anti-Doping Agency's, basically WADA, list, yet it notably deviates by excluding marijuana, reflecting a more nuanced approach to substance regulation in sports. In a press statement, UFC Chief Business Officer Hunter Campbell highlighted the organization's ambition to lead with the most effective and progressive anti-doping program in all of professional sports. The policy, which came into effect on December 31st, is part of UFC's broader effort to ensure a fair and safe competitive environment. The initiative also includes a new partnership with Drug Free Sport International for sample collection and shipping, further solidifying UFC's commitment to athlete health and performance integrity. Jeff Nowitzki, UFC Senior Vice President of Athlete Health and Performance, emphasized that the updated anti-doping program is the culmination of extensive input and trial, signifying an ongoing commitment to evolve based on scientific evidence and athlete welfare. The move is seen as a significant stride in acknowledging the changing societal and scientific perspectives on marijuana use and its implications for athletes. The UFC's policy shifts mirrors a broader trend in sports organizations reevaluating their stance on marijuana amidst a growing legalization movement. Several entities have recently adjusted their drug policies to be more accommodating of cannabis use in the past few years, including the NCAA and NBA and NFL, among others. State sport regulators and other organizations like the New York Media Softball League, is that even a thing, have also adapted their approaches, reflecting a shift in recognizing the potential therapeutic benefits and reduced stigma surrounding marijuana. These changes in the sports world align with a broader societal shift toward more progressive views on cannabis, particularly given its legal status in various jurisdictions. However, despite these evolving perspectives, the World Anti-Doping Agency continues to maintain a ban on cannabis, citing concerns about the spirit of sport and athlete role modeling. This stance has drawn criticism, particularly in the wake of high-profile cases like U.S. runner Sha'Carri Richardson's Olympic suspension for positive THC test. The case spurred a widespread call for policy reform, including from the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, the White House, and congressional lawmakers, highlighting a growing consensus that international rules on marijuana need to be reconsidered to reflect contemporary understanding and attitudes towards the substance. Well, I just want to know which UFC fighter refused to stop smoking cannabis based on the fact that they otherwise wouldn't fight. So which fighter is this all about? And thank you, UFC, for changing your policy. And what do you guys have to say about this? This is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News. What do y'all think?
Me and Rico was saying it already. We couldn't wait to get it out.
Yeah.
Nadine has been saying that for
baby.
Oh, man. All because of Nate Diaz.
Was it back in like 2018, 2019?
Mm-hmm.
He was puffing on the vape right after the fight, and he said, I'm medicating so I can recover. So everybody's heads exploded.
You know what I really took away from this from this shift in policy is that basically I feel as though that they're just opening it up for cannabis companies to be able to sponsor athletes in the UFC.
Well, no, because see, the thing is, athletes in the UFC can't be sponsored by individual companies. They have to go. What you mean? They
wear company shorts all the time.
No, bro. Listen to me. No, they used to. listen, this is my life, bro. Listen,
okay,
a boxer will put anything he want on his trunks.
All right,
a UFC fighter will have Venom on his trunks or Monster on his trunks because everything in UFC is UFC branded. So they'll have a sponsorship deal with the sponsor, and then they will give the fighter pennies, like nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
so you're saying all UFC sponsorships are all done through UFC, and then they give the athletes whatever they get.
Pool of money.
Yes, that's how it works. Like a UFC fighter cannot
go down economics.
I'm not mad at that.
They can't go in the ring wearing something specifically that they were paid to put on. They used to years ago, but in the last 10 years, they couldn't do that.
Shout out to Dana White.
No, shout out to Nate Diaz for smashing through that glass ceiling and making it so athletes after him could actually smoke, and they can break down these barriers, man. So I think combat athletes and Mike Tyson too. You know, and I know a lot of people. I'm not gonna get into the politics of Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson bringing on all these combat athletes. And what his company has done. Like, a lot of these guys are like, yo, we're beat up. We need more recovery than the average athlete, and it's good for them. And
did you say his ex-wife said they were beat up?
I know, as I always do in the comments when I bring up Mike Tyson's name, but he has done a lot to push it forward with combat athletes. And it could be said that he has been a net positive for the movement when it comes to athletes and cannabis. In my opinion.
What are your thoughts, Yaro? I see your brain getting ready to explode.
Look, I mean, I'm just going to say what I say. The neighborhood I grew up in, convicted rapists never come back from that. God can forgive, society forgives, but we don't affiliate. I would also just say that rape is one of the hardest things to get convicted of, especially when you have a very robust budget for a legal team. I would say I thoroughly enjoyed his TV show with the doves or the pigeons, and I'm not mad at somebody who wants to reform their life. But I don't think he's a good ambassador for the industry just because of that life history, which includes violence outside the ring and violence against women. So for me, you'll never see me in line at the Futurola booth to try to get a picture with that gentleman. That's just my own personal set of standards for who I personally affiliate with. I do think, onto the article, that this is obviously progress and that it's still painfully slow progress. I thought about that world-class sprinter who was disqualified and how many years it's been since then. And this notion that athletes using cannabis makes them bad role models. First of all, athletes never asked to be role models. The reason why athletes are role models is because we have a superficial society that doesn't think about teachers and firefighters and nurses as role models and glorifies anybody who gets more than their 15 minutes of fame. And secondly, the fact that the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, and some of these larger, like the U.S. Doping Agency, aren't further along, it is a testament to the glacial pace of progress. And I just think that this is a great story and it's progress. But I'm still looking at the rest of the glass that's still half empty, and the fact that all athletes deserve to be able to benefit from state or country's rights that allow for the use of cannabis outside of the time that they're in the ring. And so congratulations to UFC, Nate breaking the glass cartridge, not the glass ceiling. And there's a lot of room still for improvement, and that's what I'm focused on.
Well, I think that
I like to go back to that press conference when he was huffing on that crude oil.
Exactly.
Back in the day. Go. I'm medicating.
Go for it, Tony.
I just want to say, right, in light of all of this, I agree that an adult should be able to do what it is they want to do, but I believe that once you get yourself in a profession that tells you this is conduct that they don't want, I think that once you sign into that, you're kind of obligated to deal with it too at the same time. So, I mean, I'm happy that people can medicate. There are people there that I know that in the UFC, I have friends that fight, like real friends that fight, and friends that fight in the UFC. So I'm happy that you can do whatever you want to do. But I'm just saying, for other athletes coming in, to whatever respective sport that you may have, you have to understand that I don't want my kids smoking pot. So I don't smoke around my kids. You understand? So there are certain people that don't just want that around their children. They don't want, because then it does open up doors. It opens up doors for them to create commercials and stuff that other kids are going to see and then become curious about. And all I'm saying is that, yeah, happy that it happened, but at the same time, I need people to understand that when you do sign up for jobs and they tell you you can't do certain stuff, don't be mad that they're not doing what the UFC did. I mean, you can continue to push until you try to break that glass ceiling, but for some jobs, it's just not going to change it.
Well, I just have one quick thing to close this story out, you guys. I just wonder if all of the winners coming up in the UFC are all going to be cannabis consumers. I wonder if they are going to say that cannabis is a sports enhancing drug. But